Good evening, guys. You know what time it is. It's time for tactics. Hey, so welcome back to the Tactics of Trav channel where we go through all things tactical when it comes to chess. So, guys, I'm going to take you back to my round 5 game at the Wyoming Community Foundation Open. Super long name. It was the last round, guys. It was the championship round. This is my time to bring home the gold. And this is the under 1800 section. The player that I was facing was a really strong player, young kid, probably like 7 or 8 years old. And if you guys are like me, and you've played enough of these over-the-board tournaments, these are the scary ones when you face a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old. You're like, how good is this kid to be in the championship round, not lost any games? And he had won some against some strong players and drawn another strong player that I had just played in round 3 against William Wolf. So in round 5, we're playing Viann Khandelwal. So Viann is in this game a 15, like 80. And I'm a 17-16 in this game. But guys, I knew he was not playing like a 15-80 with the people he had beaten. He had beaten like a 17-60 in an earlier round, and he drew William Wolf, who was an 18-38. So I knew it was going to be a tough game. But let's get into it. Really good game. He played E4. I played C5. Knight F3. E6. D4. Plays the open Sicilian. C takes. Knight takes. And A6, you guys know I like to play the Sicilian Con. I know this line really well. Knight C3, Queen C7 to keep it from going Bishop C4 and also help prevent against E5. Bishop D3, Knight F6, H3, Bishop B4 to pin the knight to the king. Bishop D2, unpinning his knight. D6, castles. So now that pin on the knight on C3 is useless because, well, for one thing, it's unpinned and then he castled away. So because of that, Bishop C5, which is the best move. Knight F3. Knight BD7. A4, great move, keeping me from pushing B5 next where I want to do that, and then go Bishop B7. Castle. Bishop F4. E5, which was a good move. Bishop H2. Bishop G3 was also suggested. Rook E8. This is also a strong move. So the reason I went Rook E8, guys, is because I wanted to move this knight here and reroute to possibly F8 and then maybe G6 and then mount something on the king side. And then I can also create space for my light square bishop to go to D7 and then go this way. Maybe possibly come into C6 and developing that way. He goes King H1. And I think the reason he did that, guys, was just to get his king off the diagonal with my dark squared bishop in case he pushes F4 later. And Queen B6, which at the time, guys, I thought this was like an ultra clever move and it ended up just being a good move. It wasn't even like an excellent move. It was just a good move because I thought it was a nice, clever way to double attack white with this pawn on B2 and then also this battery with the bishop with this pawn on F2. But it's not really, it's more of a mirage or an illusion because it's not like I can actually take this pawn or should take this pawn after white's move. Watch this move that white plays. Queen D2, which I thought was a really great way to defend against my quote-unquote double attack because would black want to take on B2 here, guys? Just pause your videos. What would white play if I were to take on B2 with my queen? That's right. Rook F to B1, and my queen would be effectively trapped. So great insight by my opponent to see that. And so because of that, I don't play queen takes B2 because that would be a game-losing blunder. So instead, I played bishop to B4, which was a good move, pinning the knight to the queen. Knight h4 and knight c5. So guys, I'm doing really well out of the opening. Like, I'm totally winning this so far. And f3. And bishop d7, which I thought was also a clever move, because now that this knight is pinned to the queen and I have my knight here posted here on c5, moving bishop d7 brings my bishop into the game, and I now have two attackers on this a4 pawn, and he only has one defender because this does not count because it's pinned to the queen. So I'm threatening to take with either the knight or the bishop next, probably the knight, because then I can threaten to take on b2. And because of that, he goes bishop g1, great move, pinning my knight to my queen. So I'm not going to take here because now I would lose my queen if I were to go forth with that idea. So I have to unpin my queen. I go queen c7. Bishop takes c5. Good move. Queen takes c5. Queen f2, trying to trade queens. And knight h5, which is not a good move, guys, because I'm not going to give myself the shame bell on it because it's more of a positional reason, and it's not exactly like a bad mistake. It's just a slight mistake because white can play knight d5 if they see it, and he doesn't see it. He plays king h2. Bishop takes c3, trying to double the pawns. Well, I am doubling the pawns because if he takes, b takes c3, I'm going to win a pawn. So he has to take my queen off now, which he does, and then I take back on c5, and then he takes my bishop on c3. So good in between move by my opponent. And guys, after b takes c3, I'm technically up minus 0.20. So I have a slight edge over white. And this is where things start to go off the rails, guys. So maybe get some headphones because there's going to be some shame bells going off here in just a second. So I'm thinking, this is what was going through my mind in the game. After I took here and he took with the pawn, I'm like, oh, he's got double pawns. And if I go, this is what I was thinking, if I go g5, I know because his knight has nowhere else to go, he's going to have to go to f5. And then after I go bishop takes on f5, he's going to take back with his e-pawn. And then he's going to have another set or another pair of doubled pawns on the f file. So I'm thinking, okay, I got a pair of doubled pawns on the c file and a pair of double pawns on the f file, and I should be totally fine, right? So that's what was going through my mind in the game, just to explain my rationale behind this move. But I moved g5, guys, and shame on g5! Shame on that move! Shame! So g5 is not good, guys. And so I gave you my reasons as to why I played these moves, but it wasn't good because after he goes, well, let me show you what Stockfish wanted me to do first. So Stockfish wanted me to move g6, and the reason why, I'm going to give you the line. g6, rook f to d1, rook e to d8, bishop f1, bishop to e6, g3, rook takes d1, and rook takes d1. And with that line, I'd be up minus 0.24. So I'd be totally fine here, totally winning. But instead, with me moving g5 and letting him go here, which is what he does, I take it and he takes back, and I thought I was totally winning. It shows I didn't quite understand the position because after e takes f5, I move king to g7, and bishop to e4, and things start to really go off the rails here for black, just due to my positional misunderstanding. So after bishop to e4, he's attacking my pawn, right? So there's pause your videos here, guys, because black has a couple issues and things I got to deal with, and so the best way to move forth for black is really important. So pause your videos and tell me what you would do playing black here. All right, you ready? So the proper way to defend against this threat, and this is by Stockfish 16, 3,500 rating. So I bumped it up to like a maximum level where it's 20 seconds per move. So the best way to deal with this threat is to go rook to b8. And after rook to b8, it gives rook a to b8, a5, b5, a takes b6, and rook takes b6. That's the best way to deal with this. But instead of playing rook a to b8, because I thought I could create a battery on the d file here and defend it sideways. So I defend it horizontal with rook to e7, which was, guys, shame on rook e7. Shame on that move. It's also a bad move, and it also deserves a shame bell because it doesn't work, and it actually gives up the d file. So this is just horrible for me moving forward because rook f to d1, which I'm like, okay, rook f to d1, he takes the open file. Guys, it's a very basic positional thing to understand, is you have to take the open file. If you don't take the open file, you have to contest the open file. And I just thought it was more of a minor footnote because, I can defend this way. I get my knight here to f4. I get some counterplay. But you just have to abide by the simple rules of the game. So I think a little bit of this, guys, was also fatigue because this is round 5, and I'm in my early 40s, but it's not going to get any easier. And I'm trying to get to 2200. It's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder as I get older. So I gotta abide by the rules of what I know to be true, and that is I gotta contest the d file. So anyway, rook e7, rook f d1, great move by my opponent. Rook b8. Now I play rook b8. Well, it's a move too late. So he plays rook d6 because now he has the d file uncontested, and the thing with rook d6, guys, because that's a really good move, was I wanted to play knight f4, get my knight in the game. That's really what was going through my mind. That's what I wanted to do. But the reason I can't go knight f4 is why. Pause your video, simple tactic. All right, so the reason I can't go knight f4 right away is because of a simple tactic of f6, forking my king and my rook here on e7, and he'd win my rook. So it's super annoying, and I can't move knight f4 like I want to, so I moved f6 and to prevent against the pawn fork. So I moved f6, guys. Shame on f6! Shame on that move! Never move f6, says Ben Feingold, GM Ben Feingold. And so I'm thinking, like, in the game, like that was just a move that made sense, but it's not good because it wanted to. It's just positionally a bad move, guys. So it's because of positional reasons. He can also this pawn can never go backwards, so he's going to be able to get on my 7th rank and attack me horizontally. I mean, I was trying to solve a temporary problem, and it backfires, and you'll see why shortly. So f6 is not a good move, and so he plays rook to b1. So take a guess, guys, the evaluation bar, what this game is at. So Stockfish has white now up plus 2.43. Just 6 moves ago, I was winning and had a slight edge of minus 0.2. So just with 3 mistakes, guys, none of them were blunders, but they were all mistakes. I am now down 2.43 to my opponent, who's played very solid. So after rook b1, attacking, putting pressure on this pawn, I played knight f4 finally, because that's why I played f6. And rook 1 to b6, great move by my opponent. Look at this pressure coming down, or coming through the 6th rank here. Look at the pressure on my f6 pawn. Positionally, I'm very shaky right now. He's doing very well positionally. Rook to f7. Look how passive my rooks are. This rook is behind this pawn. This rook's behind this pawn. If you haven't seen my chess lesson number 9 video, take a look at that. Roles are reversed, but just shows how important positional chess is to you guys. I mean, we focus on tactics on the Tactics of Trav channel because tactics are fun and exciting and creative and dynamic, but positional chess goes hand in hand. You got to have it. You got to have the yin and the yang, but we do like to focus more on the tactics on this channel. So rook f7, g3, kicking my knight, knight e2, and finally getting something going. You know, my knight is really the only good piece in the game because both my rooks are passive. So knight e2, bishop to d5. He's got 3 active pieces. I have 1. Rook 7 to f8. That's all I can do. Rook d7 check. So this is the reason, guys, that f6, because the computer sees it instantly and it calculates instantly. Well, we give it 20 seconds with the 3500 rating that it is, but that's the reason, guys, is because now this pawn can never go back. So look at this. I mean, I'm just completely vulnerable here. Rook d7 check, and king to h6. Shame on king h6. Shame on that move. Guys, I'm just racking up the shame bells in this game. So I think a lot of this is fatigue, honestly. I just, in the tournament, like, you know, I got into round 5. You know, I'm excited to play, but I think mentally, guys, I was a little bit drained. But I mean, my opponent's playing great. And king h6 is not a good move. Do you see why? So I'll give you a couple. Well, let's pause your videos here and calculate why king h6 is not a good move. All right, here's why. So after king h6, he's got bishop to g8, which is a crushing move. And it's so crushing because it's threatening with bishop to g8, it's threatening rook takes h7 check, and that would be checkmate. So I have to take the bishop with my rook. So that's the reason. So bishop g8, rook takes g8. I have to take it. And rook takes f6 check. Rook g6. And f takes g6. And white's just totally crushing me with that continuation. So king h6 is a blunder, but my opponent doesn't play, he didn't see bishop g8, so he played c4, and I played a5. Now rook b takes b7. The first real mistake of the game for my opponent. Shame on rook b takes b7. Shame on that move. So he's still winning, guys, but he went from being up plus 4.86 to being up 2.4. So it's like a 2.4 point drop by playing that. So, I mean, he's still winning, guys, but, you know, technically we play the shame bell for any kind of large mistake or blunder. So I've had like 4, and this is his first one. So, but he's still winning. So rook b takes b7. Rook takes b7, which is the best response to that. Rook takes b7. And what Stockfish recommended was knight to d4, followed by g4 by white. So that's the best continuation. But I played knight c3, which is like the second best move. Still a good move. Rook to a7 gets behind my isolated a pawn. Rook to b8, taking the b file. Trying to get some counterplay going to get to b2, and then take this pawn out and maybe get something going against white's king. h4. Shame on h4. Shame on that move. So h4 is actually a big mistake by my opponent. So, and apparently it's such a big mistake that if I had played correctly and seen it, I would be totally back in the game. So that's how much the swings were going in this game, guys. So, yeah. So here's the line for h4. Why h4 deserves a shame bell. So because of h4, I have g takes h4, g takes h4, knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook to b4, and then king to g3. So the point is, after those exchanges, so here, and then I take and he takes, going rook to b4 is totally getting me back in the game because I can take this pawn now, and then I can get behind this pawn. So I know in the game, guys, when I calculated that, because I did see that line, I didn't think that was any good because I thought that was giving him a pass pawn. And that's kind of how I chalked it up. Oh, it gives white a pass pawn. That's not good. Well, it is good because I can actually win this pawn after rook to b4, and then I can get behind it, which is exactly what you want when you're playing defensively against a pass pawn, to behind the pawn. So I don't think he can actually promote it with his rook in this position. So I didn't positionally get it right, guys. And so that's the reason I wasn't able to capitalize on this. So after h4, I went with knight takes a4, rook takes a5, knight back to c3, rook takes c5, and rook to b2, which is what I was threatening the whole time, to try to get here, get some counterplay going, take the pawn, and then just see what I can do against white's king. And rook to c6. So guess what the evaluation bar has us at now, guys. You had to take a guess. Plus 0.45. Like, I'm totally in the game again. So I went from winning slightly in the opening to totally losing in the middle of the game. He was up plus 4.8 at one point, and now I'm back in the game at plus 0.45, which is not that much. So I still have a chance to win this. Rook takes c2 check. King to h3. And king to g7. Shame on that move, guys. Shame on king g7. Just racking up the shame bells in this episode, guys. So terrible move by me. Like, this is a blunder, like big blunder. So here's why. So after king to g7, it's like a 5-point blunder. He has, if perfect moves are played, h takes g5, knight takes d5, c takes d5, rook d2, and rook takes f6. So that's, if perfect moves are played, guys, but it is a bad move. My opponent does play a different move, but he plays some strong moves here, guys. Actually, tune into these next 9 moves, guys, because my opponent played fantastic here. Like, I thought I was playing a chess engine. He just played very, very well. Check out these moves. So he plays rook c7 check, king h8, Rook c8 check, which Stockfish loved. It's a great move by you, Viann. Great move. King back to g7. Rook g8 check. King to h6. Now he takes the pawn on g5 with check. F takes g5. And f6. I mean, look at that sequence, guys. I mean, he was snapping off those moves so quickly. I don't think he calculated that deep, but he was just every move he was making was the top move. So since move 43, these are all top moves. So after f6, guys, he's up plus 10.5. He's up 10.5 points now. So I went from totally in the game to being down 10.5 points. And that's all because of King G7, which is just an awful move. It was a blunder. So, yeah, guys, this game, there's a lot going in this game, like positional things, in-game play. There's just a lot to learn from in this game. So it's perplexing. So after f6, I played knight d1. I had this thought, guys, that I could try to maybe get like a cheesy checkmate like I did in my round 3 game of the Sioux Falls Open against a strong 1650-ish player, where I actually was totally losing in that game and came back and won with kind of a similar type of idea. So I was thinking about was going knight d1 and maybe going king h5, checking him on f2, and then maybe getting like an Arabian mate type of setup where I could get my knight here and maybe my rook here and checkmate white's king, because I really have nothing else going for me, guys. Like, I'm totally losing this game. I wanted to see if I could pull off any tricks. So after knight to d1, he plays f7 because I can't stop his pawn from queening. So I go knight f2 check, and you know what my idea is. He goes king to g2. And there is still a glimpse of hope with this idea, but king h5, because if I can discover check him, guys, with like knight g4, if he were to go back to h3, I could pull off rook to h2 checkmate. I know it's a long shot, but why not try? We're totally going to lose if we don't. So after that, he plays f8 to get his queen. Knight g4 check. So I'm like, come on, go king h3, go king h3, come on, Viann. And he plays king f1, sadly, so he doesn't fall into my little trap. Knight to e3 check, king e1, and I just resign here, which, there's no point playing. I mean, even the evaluation bar had it as mate in 7 and mate in 8. There's no hope for black here, but great game by my opponent. Great game by you, Viann. Just solid player. I expect him, Viann, you should be at least a chess master in the next couple of years. I could see you being an IM and a GM in your future. He's just a very strong player. Guys, he was probably playing at like 2,000, 2,100 level strength. I mean, he was really very good. Yes, I was tired. It was round 5, but I didn't play that bad. And, I played in the high 70 percentile, which is not my greatest game, but there were quite a few errors on my side, but a lot of those errors are my fault. So positional misunderstandings of the position, thinking that I had like the doubled pawns, thinking that this was such a bad thing for him. It really wasn't. So that was just completely a mirage. So I don't know why I was thinking this. If I had just played G6, I was totally fine. I would have been winning with an edge of minus 0.24 and would have been totally fine. But instead, I tried to go for the gusto with G5, which caused me a lot of problems positionally. So just really got to attribute this loss more to positional play and misunderstanding. And so tactics, we had some tactics earlier in the game with like queen b6, but nothing really that was that threatening for my opponent. And it wasn't an ultra tactical game, to be honest with you, but not all your games are going to be, which is why we have like chess lesson number 9 is all about positional play and how that is kind of the yin and yang. You got to have tactics, but you got to have positional. But guys, like this is just a perfect illustration of that. So watch our video on Sunday night about over the board tactics puzzles that we do to train for our tactical games, and hopefully we can get some tactics going in more of our games coming up. But guys, appreciate you watching. But hey, if you're getting the value out of this, like if you're actually learning a lot, consider buying me a coffee or two on my Buy Me a Coffee link. It's in the link description. It just really helps motivate me keep more of these games shared with you, just especially because it takes a lot of time to create this. And if you are seeing value, definitely hit me back with a couple coffees on there. So anyway, guys, we'll see you on the next video.